What's up, guys? This is VinylicPuma, back for the Borderlands 2 Top 10 video, and today we'll be going over what I think are the 10 best shields to farm in this game. Now, you guys probably know the drill already, but if you don't, we'll be including newly added gear from the Commander Lilith DLC, and our rankings are going to be weighted based on how powerful, how rare, and how useful or good a given shield is. Admittedly, it was pretty hard to rank these, so if you feel that one of these shields is better than I say it is, definitely be sure to leave a comment below letting me know. Also, definitely be sure to smash like on this video if you think you know what our number one entry is going to be, and failing that, be sure to smash like to prevent 99942. You can Google that later, but for right now, let's go ahead and start with our number 10 entry, which is going to be the Big Boom Blaster. Unlike its legendary counterpart, the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, the Big Boom Blaster is actually a pretty good shield, if not a welcome improvement over the standard booster shield. This is primarily due to the Big Boom Blaster's special effect, which allows the player to receive 1 grenade and 1 rocket ammo upon picking up the dropped boosters. This effect tends to be pretty useful on any character since either ammo type is usually pretty expensive at vendors. Arguably, the grenade portion is probably more useful than the rocket portion since Axton can really boost the power of grenades, but the rocket portion is still pretty nice on low ammo consumption rocket launchers like the Bada Boom or the World Burn. So you should find you get a lot of use out of this particular shield. As far as farming goes, Big Boom Blasters can drop from Pyro Pete the Invincible within the Torg DLC, and since Pete is a pushover, getting your hands on one of these shouldn't be too tough. Just be sure to get a 22.1% variant, as these are the best ones. Number 9. The Fabled Tortoise and Hoplite. Now, I decided to go ahead and include both of these together simply for the fact that both are largely the same. After all, both have massive shield capacities and have similar yet slightly different special effects. For the Fabled Tortoise, it has better capacity and lower shield drain when compared to a Hoplite at the same level, and for that reason, it's usually the better choice most of the time. However, it has a much higher movement penalty than the Hoplite does, which may end up making it less practical. As for the Hoplite, like I said, it is weaker than the Fabled Tortoise in terms of stats. However, you do get greater movement speed, and provided you're playing with other players, you can increase the shield capacity by 20% for every other player that has a Hoplite equipped, thus allowing you to potentially surpass the Tortoise in terms of capacity. Ultimately, both of these shields are pretty good if you need a massive capacity, and if you want them, you can receive the Fabled Tortoise by farming blue in the Caustic Caverns during or after the Safe and Sound side quest, while the Hoplite is received by farming Pyro Pete the Invincible within the Torg DLC. Number 8. The Blockade. While farming the dragons to get one of these is a pain, the Blockade can prove to be an excellent shield on pretty much any character. After all, it sports decent stats with good capacity and potentially good recharge rate and delay depending on what parts you receive. However, the best quality about the Blockade is also what is most confusing about it, which is its special effect. Unlike what the item card says, the Blockade seems to apply a consistent amount of damage reduction at all times rather than when the capacity is full. So regardless of whether you're at full capacity, partial capacity, or even if the shield is depleted, you'll be getting the same amount of damage reduction. As you might guess, this ends up being a very useful effect as it allows the Blockade to outperform similar shields with similar stats. Otherwise, the Blockade is a pretty great shield. It kinda sucks that it's hard to get, but if you beat the dragons in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode to get one, you won't regret it. Number 7. The Love Thumper. Even though it's not the strongest droid shield that's available, the Love Thumper is special in that it possesses by far the longest recharge delay out of any of the droid shields that are available. The advantage of this is obvious in that it allows the player to take their time with their melee strikes, where other droid shields require a bit more timing to use effectively. As a trade-off, you are getting slightly lower roid damage boost than you are with other unique roid shields, but again, the longer recharge delay more than makes up for any potential roid damage boosts that you would have lost. The only real downside to this thing is that in multiplayer matches, the novas emitted by the Love Thumper can harm your co-op companions. This makes the shield a bit of a hassle to use, and any co-op partners that you do use it with definitely won't appreciate getting downed due to your using the Thumper. So in those situations, it's recommended that you use something else. If you can get past that minor issue though, the Love Thumper is a great shield for Melee 0, and if you want to get your hands on one, the Love Thumper is obtained by completing the Best Mother's Day Ever side quest that's located in the Highlands. Number 6. The Rough Rider. While it may seem counterintuitive to have a shield with 0 capacity at first, the Rough Rider is actually a pretty good shield and could have realistically been in the top 5 for this particular list. Aside from the boost to max health and the amount of damage reduction it provides, having 0 shield capacity is extremely beneficial for characters that have skills that work based on how low their shield is, or if it's depleted. For example, Maya's fleet skill will always be active while a Rough Rider is equipped, and the same goes for Zero's fearless skill, as that will also be always active provided a Rough Rider is equipped. Perhaps the best use of the Rough Rider in this way, though, is on Salvador. Since Inconceivable allows a chance to not consume ammo based on how low your health and shields are, you can use the Rough Rider to always keep your shields at 0, which improves the chance that Inconceivable takes effect. Additionally, Salvador's Out of Bubblegum skill, which improves fire rate while your shield is depleted, also greatly benefits from using the Rough Rider. Thus, that's 2 skills on 1 character. In the end, the Rough Rider is great simply because it's always depleted. While it isn't amazing on every character, it might just be the best on some of them, and if you want it, all you have to do is find the unique Bullymong named Bulwark, who's located in the Hunter's Grotto within the Big Game Hunt DLC. He can be difficult to take down sometimes, but he spawns fairly frequently, so the Rough Rider should be easier to get than many of the other shields that appear on this list. Number 5. The Hide of Morphus. For all intents and purposes, the Hide of Morphus is the most powerful Roid shield in Borderlands 2, as it possesses the highest Roid damage bonus. This ends up making it perfect for melee-focused builds on Zero and Krieg, as this shield will really allow you to maximize the potential of those types of builds. However, you may be interested to know that the Hide of Morphus is less of a dedicated Roid shield, and more of a weird combination of other shield types too. It has the traits of a Nova shield in that when your shield depletes, a Fire Nova will deploy dealing damage to enemies. On top of that, should you be meleeed by an enemy, the Hide also has properties of a Spike shield as well, inflicting fire damage to enemies that attack you with a melee attack. These attributes allow the Hide to possess a strong combination of offensive and defensive capabilities, which will prove useful provided you decide to equip one. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot else to say about this one. If you do want a Hide of Morphus, they are a bit of a pain to get as you have to farm Morphus himself, but assuming you do get your hands on one of these, I think you'll agree that it is an amazingly powerful Roid shield. Number 4. The Flame of the Firehawk. While there are other quest reward legendaries in Borderlands 2, it is worth noting that the Flame of the Firehawk is really the first, and is still the best of the legendary Nova shields that are available. This is because the Flame of the Firehawk not only emits a Nova when the shield depletes, but it continues to emit Novas until either the shield starts to recharge, or until you obtain a second wind. So this means that with some practice, you can keep the Novas going off almost indefinitely, which will make most mobs melt. Probably the best character to pair with the Flame of the Firehawk is Krieg. Since Krieg has a number of skills that help increase shield recharge delay, along with some skills that help boost the effects of fire in general, you can pretty much melt almost any enemy you come across with minimal effort. Even badass type mobs have a difficult time dealing with all of the subsequent Fire Novas, so if you do play Krieg, it is a really good idea to get your hands on one of these because it is massively powerful. Of course, the only real downside is that the Firehawk is Fire Elemental only, but considering how easy this thing is to use and get, I think that's a fair trade-off. If you want one of these things, the Flame of the Firehawk is obtained by completing the Cult Following the Enkindling side quest in Frostburn Canyon. It is part of a long quest line, but taking the time to do all of it is definitely worth it. Number 3. The Sham. So the Sham is the best absorption shield in the game, boasting an astronomically high 94% absorption chance provided the player gets one with the right parts. In fact, this absorption chance is so high that it makes just about every other absorption shield within the game entirely redundant. After all, if you're fighting a lot of enemies shooting bullets at you with a 94% chance to absorb them, you're really not going to need any other absorption style shield at that point. With this said, and sort of like I said earlier, you may find capacity to be an issue on the shield, as it will frequently deplete if you get overwhelmed. Additionally, there are attacks this thing just won't absorb, so you will want to be wary or use another shield if you anticipate any of those types of attacks. On the flip side, however, if you pair one of these with a Norfleet like I'm doing here in the video, I think you'll agree that whatever decreased capacity or whatever inability you have to absorb certain types of attacks isn't really going to matter, because you're going to potentially be able to fire some Norfleet shots for free or at a significantly reduced cost. It's fair to say that the Sham is one of the ultimate must-have shields in this game for any character, and if you want to get one, you'll need to farm the bunker at his unique location that's accessed from 1,000 cuts. It really is a great shield, and hopefully you can get your hands on a 94% variant. Number 2, the Antagonist. If you're looking for a very easy to acquire shield with good capacity, some damage reduction, and some useful unique effects, you might want to check out the Antagonist. This is because when the player is struck by bullets with an antagonist equipped, the shield has a chance to deflect them back at attackers with increased damage. Additionally, and whenever the player takes damage with the antagonist equipped, the antagonist will also emit a small homing slag ball that can travel towards enemies and potentially slag them in the process. This ends up being really useful for Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, where slag is essential, as the antagonist can provide a source of offhand slag that doesn't require you to swap to another weapon. Just keep in mind that these slag balls can also slag the player, so you don't want to be too close when they go off. In general though, the antagonist is a pretty good shield, and fortunately, it is really easy to get. All you have to do is buy it from the Seraph vendor that's located in Flamerock Refuge within the Dragonkeep DLC. The hardest part is just getting the Seraph crystals needed to purchase it, which you can get from any of the Seraph Guardians. Now, I could talk about our number 1 entry, but since we all know what it's going to be, I figured we could first discuss our honorable mention for this list that didn't quite make the cut, and that is going to be the Easy Mode. Despite its effects only working at Digistruct Peak, the Easy Mode is actually pretty good and kind of makes me wish its effect worked elsewhere in the game as well. This is because if the Easy Mode is paired with the Hard Carry Relic at Digistruct Peak, it results in significantly extended fight for your lifetime for the player. This can end up making the Digistruct Peak challenge a whole lot easier, since if you go down, you'll have plenty of time to get a second wind. All this said though, and location-based effects aside, it does irk me that despite the Easy Mode being based off of the Black Hole, it doesn't retain any of the Black Hole special effects. If it did, the Easy Mode would probably have made it onto this list as a solid entry, especially if the Black Hole's basic effects stacked with the current location-based effects. It is what it is, but despite the issues, the Easy Mode can be a great shield for Digistruct Peak, and if you want one, the Easy Mode appears in one of the chests that appears after you defeat Hadorax the Invincible in the Lilith DLC. The Hard Carry and Peak Opener can also be obtained this way, though both don't drop as consistently. And finally, number 1, the B Shield. Maybe someone will say the B is overrated and I shouldn't have put it at number 1, but it is hard to deny that the B isn't a fantastic and potentially game-breaking shield. After all, there's a reason why the B wasn't included in Borderlands the pre-sequel. What makes the B shield so good is that it's an amp damage shield that not only possesses the highest amp damage available, but also has no amp drain when fired. So you're basically getting a flat damage boost when you equip this thing, and this is all coming without the need for specific tactics or any real skill on your behalf. All you have to do is make sure that the shield capacity doesn't deplete, or you lose your buff. Because of this property, the B tends to be really useful for farming and also ends up complementing builds that tend to use weapons with unlisted projectiles. It's often paired with the Sandhawk, but you can also pair the bee with pretty much any other weapon to make it more ridiculous as well. So definitely be sure to experiment. If you want one, your best bet is to farm treants that are located in the forest of the Dragonkeep DLC. However, if you haven't played the DLC yet, you can also farm Hunter Hellquest, who is farmed in the Arid Nexus Boneyard during or after the This Just In side quest. Okay guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to smash like, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more Borderlands videos, and as always, and again, thank you all so much for supporting this channel. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.